Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new video on my channel. I hope you all are doing fine. I hope you all are doing alright. So today we are going to learn a language together again, but not really a language, but just an alphabet. Today we are going to learn the Arabic alphabet together. And yeah, I already made 3 videos in Arabic. Or not in Arabic, but I learned or I tried teaching you some Arabic in 2 videos. And then in a 3rd video I just talked about some vocabulary. And so today we are going to talk about the alphabet. And yeah, we're just going to go over the different letters. And let's get started. So a little disclaimer, I am not a native speaker in Arabic. I first started learning Arabic already 10 years ago, roundabout, but then I stopped for a long time, and only since around about 2 years I got back into learning. And I also don't learn really regularly, so yeah, just so you know, if you're learning Arabic by yourself, if you really want to know how to pronounce every single letter correctly, like really correctly, you should probably look up some other resources or like some other videos. But yeah, this video is just to teach you the basics, and maybe this is going to be a bit relaxing and you can fall asleep to this. So yeah, so the Arabic alphabet has, I don't even know how many letters, 28, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 20, 30? I don't even know, 30 letters? Okay, so I just looked it up. The Arabic alphabet has 28 letters, but I think this also depends on whether you count the Hamza to the letters. And so, yeah, but mainly 28 letters, and they are all different from the Latin alphabet. It's not like in Russian or like in the Cyrillic alphabet as an example, where some letters are just like in the Latin alphabet, or they at least look similar or like the same. These letters are entirely different from the Latin alphabet, and each letter in the Arabic script comes in 4 different forms. So you have the isolated form, which is just, yeah, the basic form, how you see the letter. If you see, I don't know, just a poster of the alphabet as an example, or if you just, yeah, maybe it's easier to learn the letters like this, like just one letter at first, and then later on you can learn the other letters, because depending on where in a word the letter is located, it looks differently. So if it's at the beginning of a word, or also not just at the beginning of a word, but also at the beginning of, like if it comes after a letter that can't be connected. So as an example, yeah, actually we should first learn the alphabet, but I'm just going to tell you this real quick in the beginning. So as an example, this is the Aleph, and Aleph is like an A sound. It can also be an I sound, so E, or a U sound, U roundabout. And it also comes with different signs on top of it quite often, but quite often it also is an A sound. And then the ba is a B sound. And so if I want to say up means father. If I want to say up, it means father, and I write one word, but these letters are not connected because you can't connect the Aleph. But you can connect the ba. So if I want to say my father, I would say Abi. I can't write with this pen. What is this? Abi, roundabout like this. And my father is, yeah, Abi, and it's still not connected. The ba is not connected to the Aleph, but to the ya, because after the ba you can connect a letter which is the ya, which is like an I sound or like a Y sound, and just like E roundabout, this is how you pronounce it. And so after the ba you can connect other letters, but after the alif not. So sometimes, although this is the initial form, like the beginning form of the ba, if it comes at the beginning of a word, it can also stand in the middle of a word if it comes after a word, if it comes after a letter that can't be connected to other letters. Like this was a lot now in the beginning, and maybe I should have told you this a bit later on, but I just wanted to tell you kind of like why there are different forms for one letter and when there are different forms for one letter. So some letters also always look the same. So Hamza as an example, Hamza is just like a glottal stop, so to say, Hamza. And yeah, this is Hamza, and this comes, like this is the isolated form, this is the beginning form or initial form, the middle form and the end form. And yeah, it's always the same, because I don't even know Hamza, I don't even know if it's a real letter, and it really rarely stands alone in a word. Most of the time it stands on top of the alif, just like here, over here. Quite often it stands on top of the alif. And there are also some other signs that can stand on top of the alif, but I'm not going to talk about this today. So let's go over the alphabet. So alif is an A sound most of the time, but it can also be pronounced like an I, so E, or a U, so U. This really depends. It's not that often an I sound from my experience, like now after 2 years of kind of more or less intensively learning Arabic. Most of the time it's pronounced like an A, but yeah, especially when you're learning, you will also have some signs to tell you how you should pronounce this letter. So for now I would just remember it as an A sound. So Alif is an A sound. I'm also going to write this down. Alif is like A. And then we have Ba. Ba is like a B. Ba. Ba is like a B. And this is the isolated letter. And this is the letter at the beginning of either a word or after an alif, as an example. The beginning form, the middle form, and the end form. And the end form looks kind of like the isolated form, and the beginning and the middle forms also look kind of similar. The only difference is that the middle form is connected to both sides, and the initial form, the beginning form, is just connected to one side. And also you probably already did notice that these 3 letters look really similar. The only difference between them are the dots. So one time the dot is below the letter, then we have 2 dots on top of the letter and 3 dots on top of the letter. So I'm going to connect these 3 because they are like almost the same. All forms of them look technically the same, but the dots make the difference. And here we have 3 more letters, which again look the same, and the only difference is that here we have a dot in the middle of the letter, here no dot at all, and here a dot on top of the letter. So I'm going to connect them again. And then we have again 2 more letters. Like these 4 letters look really similar to each other, but these 2 really are written the same except for the dot, and these 2 again. And then we have 2 more letters which again look the same, and the dots make the difference. And then again 2 more letters which look exactly the same, but the dots make the difference. Or like this 1 dot makes a difference. And again 2 more letters which are written the same, but a dot makes the difference, and another time. And yeah, then that's it. Like, these two look a bit similar sometimes, but they are not always the same. And yeah, then the other ones are all kind of unique. But just so you know, a lot of letters look really similar, and the only difference are the dots. So yeah, the ba is a B sound. This is the isolated ba. This is the beginning form. This is the middle form, and this is the end form. Then we have the ta, and this is like a T, ta, a T, and it looks like the ba, but the difference is that there are two dots on top of the letter and not below the letter. So again, this is the isolated form of the ta, this is the beginning form of the ta, this is the middle form, and this is the end form. And also, like, the beginning and middle forms, they always look kind of the same, except for this form is always just connected to one side and this form to both sides. And then this last form, the end form, looks kind of like the isolated letter, but it's connected, like it comes from another letter. Then we have the fa, and the fa is like a TH sound, I would say, in English. The fa is like a TH sound, and it looks exactly like the ba and the ta, but the difference is that it has 3 dots on top of it. 3 dots, and not just 2. And then again, the isolated form looks just like the last form, but the last form is connected. And then the beginning and the middle form, they also look similar. So alif, ba, ta, tha. And then we have jim. Jim is a j sound, but it's like a G, but it's not pronounced like g, so as in go or give or gift or whatsoever. It's not like g, but it's like j, like in jungle, except if you are in Egypt, as an example. So I would say it's like a j. It's also written like this, jim, but it can also be like a g sound, as in go. If you are in Egypt, there people pronounce this letter like g. So jim, and jim looks again at the end similar to the isolated letter. And then at the beginning and the middle it looks again the same, except for that here it is connected, it comes from a letter, and here it just starts. And yeah, like here you can't really see the connection between the isolated letter and the beginning and middle forms that much, but maybe you can remember it like this. Maybe you can remember this moon shape line like this. It could be like this. So this is jim, and then we have ha. Ha is not like ha, not like to have, like a soft ha with the, like a soft H with the mouth, but more like ha, ha, deeper in the throat, a throat H. So yeah, it's not really an H, but it kind of is an H. Like quite often here you see it, that there's a dot below the H to signalize it's a ha. And as an example, in the name Muhammad, the ha, this, it's not Muhammad, but it's Muhammad. And yeah, so I still have a hard time distinguishing these different sounds until today. And yeah, so the ha looks the same, just like the jim, but it has no dot. But all forms are written the same. And then we have the cha, and the cha is like another H sound, but a really strong H sound, like really deep in the throat. It's like whenever you see this connection, I think this is how you write this in English. As an example, Khalid, the name Khalid is with the cha, so you write it with KH most of the time. Or khair, so bikhair. Khair means goodness, roundabout. And so bikhair, when someone asks you how you're doing and you say bikhair, this means good. And so yeah, this is the KH sound, so to say, the cha. And it's again written like the other two letters, but it has a dot on top of it. Always a dot on top. And also with the jim, the dot stays in this position below this upper line, even though this moon shape part of the letter disappears in the beginning and middle forms. So we have the jim, like in jungle, or in Egypt as in go, then the ha, and then the cha. Then we have dal, and dal is like a D sound. I would say it's pretty much a D. And yeah, dal it looks kind of always the same. And dal is another letter after which you can't write another letter directly. So it appears in the middle of words, but you can't connect a letter directly after dal. So you can't write something like this. So you can't write an alif after a dal as an example. You can't directly connect any letter after the dal. And so it only has an isolated form, a beginning form, and a middle and end form. Like they stay the same because this letter can't connect to another letter. It can only come from a letter and then again can't connect to another one. So it can stand in the middle of a word, but the letters afterwards can't be connected to this letter. And the same goes for the vowel. The vowel can't be connected either, and it's written the same, but it has a dot on top of it. And the vowel is like dhahaba means to go, or like he went literally in Arabic. So dhahaba, the maybe like this. The vowel, and yeah, it looks like the dal, but it has a dot on top of it. Then we have the ra, and the ra is a R, but a rolled R, which I can't really pronounce when I am simply speaking in a soft voice, or when I'm whispering. I can't really pronounce the R, like I can't really roll my R's, and I can't really pronounce R's correctly. This goes for almost all languages. So ra is again a letter that can't connect to another one. So you can't simply add a letter directly after the ra. You need to leave like a tiny space, and then you can continue within the word. That's why, again, there are only two different ways of writing this letter. Either the isolated form, which is also automatically the beginning form, and then if it comes from another letter. And again, this looks almost like the other forms. Then we have a za, like in the name Zayn as an example. And it's like in zoo, I would say, roundabout, za. Ra and za. Za is written like ra, but with a dot on top. and again you can't connect it to other letters. So there's only an isolated letter and a beginning letter, they are the same, and then a middle or end letter. And they also look really similar to one another, but this letter, like these two versions, are connected to the previous letter. Now we have the scene. So scene is like an S, so maybe you pronounce it just like an S in English, maybe in the word scene, just like in the word scene. So it's an S, scene, and sheen is an SH, sheen, and scene and sheen are again written exactly the same always, but the difference is that sheen has 3 dots and scene no dot at all. And so also all forms of scene and sheen look really similar, I feel like. So the isolated forms look just like the end forms, but the end forms are connected, like they come from the previous letter. And then the beginning and middle forms also look kind of similar, but they don't have this line here. They just come like this, just these 3, just like a lying 3. The number 3, just like a lying 3, so not like this, but the 3 is lying down. This is how I remember this letter when I first learned it. And yeah, the beginning form and the middle form almost look the same, but the middle form is connected both ways, and the beginning form again just to one side. So scene and sheen. Okay, now we have the sought. The sought. This is like a really deep S, so to say. I think they always write it like this, like a really deep S. So as an example, in the word for morning in Arabic, sabah, it's at the beginning, sabah. So yeah, if it was written with seen, it probably would be more like sabah, but it's really sabah, sa, like not sa, but sa, like a really deep S. This is how I would describe it, but no guarantee. I really struggle. I still struggle by myself with this. And then we have dot. This is a really deep D. Again, yeah, I can't really say, like, these are not, I don't know, you can't really say throat S or throat D, because I don't even know how you produce this letter, like these two letters. But this is, yeah, a really deep D, so dot. As an example, in the word, like for please, if you want to say please in Arabic, you say min fadlik, and the min fadlik. This is the dot. And if it was written with a dal, as an example, maybe it would be like min fadlik, but it's really min fadlik, like really min fadlik. A really deep D. This is how I would describe it now, but no guarantee that I am correct. So they look again really similar. They are the same, like written the same, they come with the same forms, but the difference is that there is a dot on top of the dot. And yeah, and the end form looks just like the isolated form. It has this. They kind of look the same, but it comes from another letter, obviously. And then the beginning and middle form, they again look the same, but they don't have this. But you can still recognize them in a word, I feel like. Now we have the ta. This is again a deep sound, a deep T. Ta. This is a really deep T. It's like in the name Tariq. And I also can't pronounce the end letter in this name. I really can't pronounce this name correctly. But Tariq. And it starts with a really deep T. And yeah, this letter looks almost always the same in all its forms, except that in the isolated form it's not connected. Here it's connected to this side, here from both sides, and here it comes from a letter. And although it might look like you can't connect other letters to this letter, like you can't be like this, you can connect other letters on both sides to the letter. It just only comes in 2 forms, or 1 form actually only. It always looks the same. And then we have the. I can't pronounce this. This is like in Abu Dhabi. Here it's written like a really deep S sound, but it's more like a D sound. It's like a D and S sound. I feel like it's a really, I can't pronounce this. Like, it's either like this or maybe like this, like a really deep S. The Abu Dhabi. But it's not really common, I feel like. Like, this is really not at all a common letter, I feel like not the most common letter in Arabic. I can't think of another word that has the, only the city, Abu Dhabi. But again, this comes in only 1 form. Like, all forms look the same. In the isolated form, the beginning form, the middle form, and the end form. Now we have ein, and rein. So ein is also often written like this, with a small c, and then an a. It's kind of like a glottal stop, but it's not exactly like hamza. It's more like, as an example, like if you want to say come in Arabic, you say ta'ala, and it's more like ah. Also, to learn ta'alam, it's something like this, ta'alam, ta'ala, but it's not always like it doesn't always come after an a sound. It also comes before a lot of different vowels, kind of like a glottal stop, but maybe not exactly. This is the ein, and now we have the rein, and the rein is like an German or French or Dutch R, I would say. And then it's always written like this, I think. It's a throat R, not a rolled R, but a throat R. And this is not the most difficult one for me, because I'm already used to this since I speak German and Dutch, but I feel like if you only speak, it's not like the English R. It's not R, it's really ra. It's ra, rein. So like a French R. And ein and rein look really similar again. They look the same, but the difference is the dot on the rein. And now really all 4 forms look different from one another. So the isolated form and the final form, the end forms, they don't really look exactly the same, but I feel like you can still see kind of how this happened. So like this, and then like this. And also here, the beginning form looks like the upper part of the letter, but then there is no lower part, but you just connect it to the next letter. And the middle letter looks like the end letter, but without the half moon, basically, but without this moon shape line. And ein and rein, ein and rein. Now the next letter is fe. Fe is like an F in English. This is also really similar. Fe, an F sound. So the fe comes in, really in 3 different forms. Like the initial form looks kind of similar to the end form, but the end form is connected, obviously. And then the beginning and the middle form, they also look kind of similar. They don't have this long line. And it's like an F. Then we have the cough, and the cough is like a Q, like it's a K sound, but a deeper K sound, deeper in the throat again. I also can't really pronounce this letter. And the cough is, again, the end form looks like the isolated form, and then the beginning form looks like this part of the isolated form, and then the middle form, yeah, like you kind of see how these forms started existing, you know, like you see that it's still this letter, also because there are 2 dots on top of it, and it looks similar, like these 2 forms look similar to the fa, but also in general these 2 letters look really similar, but the isolated and end form, like the fa has a longer line, and it appears to be a bit slimmer, so to say, and the cough is a bit thicker and has like a line more down, like downside, like a line going down, cough, and yeah, it's like a Q, like a deep K in the throat, cough. Then we have the calf, and this is like a K in English, calf, and this is also together with the scene, one of my favorite letters when I first started learning Arabic and writing it. And this is, yeah, it looks, at the end it looks like this, like just like the isolated form. And later on, if you start learning handwriting font as an example, you can also write it like this. You don't really need to write it like this, and then with the tiny s you can also connect it immediately. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about this today, but the calf basically looks really different if it's at the beginning or in the middle. You really need to learn this, because otherwise you won't really tell that this is the same letter, I feel like. You really need to remember this. And yeah, this is the calf at the beginning, and this is the calf in the middle, and then at the end. Then we have the lamb. The lamb is an L. Lamb is like an L, and it's also written the same, but the other way around. Lamb, an L, and lamb also is kind of easy to recognize, even though it doesn't have this longer line if it's at the beginning or in the middle. And it might look a bit similar to the alif now, but the alif can't connect another letter. Like the alif can come at the end of a word, or like at the end of a letter combination, but it can't connect after it. And so the lamb can do that. But also now if you would write la as an example, la means no. It would not be written like this with the alif like this, but like this, roundabout. And so, yeah, but this is an exception. All other letters are simply connected the way they appear in the middle form, you know, when they come from another letter. And so, yeah, you can also always recognize the lam, I feel like. Now we have the meme. Meme is like an M. Meme. And meme also, it doesn't really look exactly the same at the end, just like the isolated letter, but again, kind of. But here it's open a bit, and here it's closed, and then the beginning form is just like a circle, and then it's connected, and then in the middle again. So again, another letter that you maybe need to learn a bit longer, because it's just a circle. You don't really see this long line going downwards, but after a while you really get used to this. The meme is an M sound. Then we have the noon. Noon is an N sound. Noon. And the noon again kind of reminds you of the ba, ta, and tha, I feel like, maybe, because it again looks like the ba, the ta, and the tha if it's at the beginning or in the middle, but at the end it stays like the isolated form with a, like, really going downwards, a really downwards half circle, and then with a dot on top. And so now if we compare this again, so later on there will also be another letter that maybe I should first finish this and then I'm going to explain this again. Well, I'm just going to tell this real quick now. So here we have the ya, and the ya is like a Y sound or like an I or Y, and the ya looks like this again at the beginning or in the middle. And so now the difference between all of these letters is basically only dots if you see them at the beginning or in the middle. So if there's a dot, one dot below this tiny piece of a line, then it's a ba, it's a b. If there's a one dot on top of the letter, it's a noon. So if it would look like this but without a dot below it but a dot on top of it, it would be a noon. And if it's two dots on top, it's a ta. And if it's three dots on top, it's a tha. And if it's two dots below, it's a ya. So the dot placement really is important in order to tell which letter we are talking about. So noon, an N sound. And now we have ha. And this is an H sound, just like in English, to have, to hold, to whatever. Ha. And this letter really always looks different. You really need to learn the different forms. So, and it's a quite common letter. So this is the isolated form. This is also the ta marbuta. When it has two dots on top of it, then it's pronounced like a T. Why doesn't it do it? Like when it has two dots on top, it's pronounced like a T. But I'm not going to talk about this today. But yeah, this is the isolated form, just almost like a circle. This is the beginning form. This is the middle form. And this is the end form. And yeah, they all look really different from one another. You really need to learn them. But yeah, this is the ha, an H that is more pronounced with the mouth and not with the throat. And then we have the wef. The wef is like a W or like a U sometimes, wef. So in Abu Dhabi again, Abu, it's written with a wef, the U sound, the U sound. But if you say we, this means and. So if you want to say and something, you write we, and then you write wef, and then what else right after it, but not connecting it. Because wef again can't be connected. You can only come to wef from another letter, but you can't connect after it. That's why almost all four forms look exactly the same. Just that the isolated form is just the isolated form. Like the beginning form just looks like this, and then you have something else. And then you can come from a letter, but then you will stop there. So yeah, wef. W or U, wef. And then we have the ya. The ya, as I said, this is like an I or a Y, ya. And yeah, it looks like, as I said, the middle and like the beginning and the middle forms, they look like ba, ta, tha, and the noon forms. At the beginning and in the middle, but the other forms, the isolated form and the end form, they look different. So the end form looks like the isolated form, but the isolated form is just like this, and the end form, the ya, is written really down in the line. So if you come from another letter, and then you will really go down the line, you will really go down in the line when you are writing, you will really be like this, and then ya, and then the ya comes. But yeah, that's ya. And so that's already it. Then maybe you can have the tamabuta, and that's a T sound at the end of female nouns or adjectives. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about it now since it's also not listed here. But yeah, I can write it down maybe. This would be roundabout the tamabuta. I can't write with this pen, I don't know. Roundabout. It looks like a ha with 2 dots, but it's a T. And so yeah, that's the whole alphabet. So Khamsa, Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha, Jim, Ha, Kha, Dal, Thal. This is also like TH a bit, this letter, Thal, but a deeper TH, not like in when you really say the, but when you can't really pronounce it and you say the, something like this, not the, but the. Dal. And then Ra, Za, Sin, Shin, Sod, Dot, Ta, Ba, Ein, Rein, Fa, Kaf, Kaf, Lam, Mim, Nun, Ha, Wa, and Ya. Alright. So I think that's it for today. I hope you could learn something. And as I said, I'm not a native speaker, so please, if you really want to learn how to pronounce Arabic correctly and all the letters, please look up some other videos. And yeah, I am still learning by myself, so I hope you liked the video, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a like. And if you didn't like it, feel free to let me know why in the comments. And thanks for watching. Thanks for watching until now if you're still watching. Of course, I hope you've already fallen asleep by now. And see you in the next video. Alright.